just realized my goddamn mic was off this entire fucking time. Well, that's okay, I guess. Fucking moron I am. Anyways, we're gonna go over some shit. Mainly Rumble, mainly Barnes's. Fucking dumbass I am. I am just fucking useless today. Fuck's sake. I'm just gonna go over to my live stream real quick so I can type this edit. There we go. Fuck's sake, fuck's sake, fuck's sake. All right. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening. Anyways. So on X at official W Ghost, it's where you can find out when I go live, where I'm going live. You can also watch me live if you want. Rumble.com/withghost is the Rumble channel. YouTube is at official with ghost. Or sorry, not official. Sorry. Oh, fuck's sake. All right. I'll be right back. Hold your tits. Sorry about that. We had a problem. uh, oh. Oh man. All right. So I'm sorry about all that. We had a minor incident. We had a blowout. You have kids, you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, let's get on to it. I've been fucking stuck on this forever. Oh man. It's been a kind of a shit show today. All right, let's get into this video. So this is Barnes is the bald guy on the right. Viva Fry, his partner, is on the left. Okay, so we're gonna listen to their analysis on the whole thing, and yeah, so and is my custom. We're gonna hit this at 1.5 speed just so I can get through it quicker.
In summary, just of the legal situation, it's a very.
Of course, there's a fucking ad.
Real day is to get some steak and meat from a veteran-owned small independent farm. Otherwise, of course, one of the best places to get all your other food products is AmosMillerOrganicFarm.com, which they're trying to shut them down in the next 2 weeks. So get your products now to make sure that you can get them at all while we continue to fight the government.
Robert, I guess, look, before we even get into the show lineup stuff of the night, I guess we'll have to address the elephant in the room, which is the news with Rekieta. You put out a post on locals. I put out my summary just of the legal situation. It's a very sad situation. And someone said to me, "Well, you didn't show this much." Well, I didn't reply to it. I have to stop replying to trolls. It said you didn't show.
Oh, sweet! Looks like the search warrant has just been released. So we're going to look at it after this.
This much sympathy and empathy when it was Hunter Biden. I was like, if you don't understand the difference between all of this, then I can't explain it by way of a comment in Twitter. But so the bottom line is Nick and his wife and a third person who I don't know who she is, but content-wise, but an internet personality, were arrested. Well, they got charged with 3 charges. One was felony possession of controlled substance over a certain amount, 25 grams. You'll explain the importance of that. The 2 were gross misdemeanors. One was possession of firearms in the presence of a controlled substance, and the other was child neglect, I believe. From what I understand, and these are public documents, so I don't think I'm saying anything that's not public, apparently there was not a wellness check, I don't know what it is, a mandated monitor who said that they were concerned for the kids being neglected, and then police showed up. This is all in public court documents. They wouldn't open the door, they battered the door down, and they found a bunch of stuff when they came there for that reason from the warrant. Take it from there, because I don't know what more I can add to the situation.
There are substantial constitutional questions about everything connected to the Rekieta case. So there's been a lot of focus in LawTube on the substantive charges, and those they want to make sure that Nick's health is in good state, and that's understandable. But I think LawTube should start to focus on the constitutional issues of what's taking place here. You have a high-profile critic of the local court system, of the local prosecutors, of the local police, suddenly being subject to an extraordinary...
I don't think that's accurate. I've watched a lot of Rekieta's streams. I don't really think he talks anything local. I guess it depends on what he means by local. Is he talking about local as in where Rekieta lives, or is he talking local as in the state of Minnesota? Because I don't think he really talks about stuff in his local area. So I don't think Barnes is accurate here. The only time he spoke negatively about a judge was that infamous stream now where it looks like he's jerking off. But that's about it. I can't think of another incident where he's talked anything negatively about the cops in Spicer. At this point, everyone knows he lives in Spicer. So I don't think that's accurate, Barnes.
Ordinary search warrant raid and questionable charges that raise questions under the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, and even the Sixth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. Within 2 days of this case, there are major constitutions about the conduct of the government. And that to date has not been talked about at great length. So the First Amendment question is, you look at the underlying facts, and I expected to find something different in the probable cause affidavit supporting detention than what I found. According to the only allegation, there's a lot of false statements being made out there. I love the quartering, but he's been taken in by some of these false statements and false claims. Just go to what is actually alleged in the the probable cause. We don't yet have the probable cause for the search warrant. I'm very curious about that. But you go to the probable cause for the detention, initial detention, and it basically says a pastor came and reported concern for the children. That normally leads to a wellness check. That doesn't normally lead to search warrant, knock down your door, arrest everybody inside. So my first is, and only that, there was a week delay. So, I mean, they're seriously concerned for the children, so they do nothing for a week.
Can I stop you there? Actually, my first question when I heard that, because at first I read that it was a pastor who requested a wellness check. I forget what the term is. And my first reaction to that was, isn't that the type of thing that should remain confidential? If indeed, I don't know, if Nick is talking to the pastor, isn't that confidential or privileged? And not, there has to be exigent circumstances for a pastor to violate whatever rules of secrecy he's bound by.
I have long opposed mandatory reporting laws. And I understand where they originated. They originated out of concern that child abuse was being unreported by people in a position to know, particularly medical care providers. The problem is it has got to such a length that people cannot seek out counseling. So that I dealt with this with another client where I had to advise them, you can't get counseling. If you go get counseling, then you may disclose something to that counselor that can now be used against you. That shouldn't be the case. We're supposed to have provider petitioner privilege, both in the context of ministers and healthcare officials. And yet these laws are overriding it. And it's always done in the name of let's protect children. It usually leads to children being in more harm because people in a position to seek assistance don't. So I've not been a fan of mandatory reporting laws. But the second aspect of all this is what that's supposed to lead to is a wellness check, not a search warrant and raid of somebody's home. So that is, I find, and the question is it a coincidence that the judges involved apparently in this effort are judges that Nick has been very publicly critical of and questioning not only their competency but their ethics, that it involves a prosecutor's office that Nick has been publicly critical of, exposing it.
Again, I don't know if this is accurate. I've watched a lot of Rekieta stuff. I haven't really been too into it lately. I think it coincided when he started his downward spiral. So I don't think it yeah, I don't remember anything of this nature. Again, the only critic I remember him talking about for judges was the judge in his lawsuit, and that was only during the infamous stream. That's all I can really think of.
Issues of corruption and competence, and a police department he has been publicly critical of exposing corruption and competence.
And to stop you there for a moment, because I heard the same thing as well, and I had the same queries that you had. Apparently, the judge assigned to Nick's criminal case is the same judge who's involved in his civil case, the defamation case, where he's been a vocal critic of her. And I had the same question, like, how the hell is a judge doing both criminal and civil? But many people say it's a small town, so maybe they're not that many
judges. Well, that's the issue. You have the biggest high-profile critic in a small county of all these powerful actors. Like, people ask me now and then, why do I live in Las Vegas? It's because I don't practice law in Las Vegas. I don't practice law in the state of Nevada. It provides a degree of protection from if you know anything about Las Vegas police, you would know you don't want to be. If you want to practice law in Nevada, don't live in Nevada. Put it that. We'll get to that when we get to the Gruden case a little later on. But so I have First Amendment case questions. I mean, were biased, prejudiced, partisan officials part of the entire process? We'll get to this when we talk about the Trump case in authorizing and approving this extraordinary search warrant. Then you get to and that could be discriminatory, selective, disparate under the First Amendment, all legitimate issues that also President Trump has raised in all of his cases. Then you get to the Second Amendment issues. I was curious. I was like, okay, why is there a gun charge here? He legally had the right to possess the guns. He's got no criminal history of any category. And I thought, well, there must be something in the probable cause for detention that will say the guns were in the presence of the children or something like that. Nope. It's in his private bedroom, his personal bedroom. In the bathroom of that bedroom is where they found the substances and where they found a gun and some ammunition. It's like, how is that grounds for under the Second Amendment to charge anybody with a crime? And then you have the bail provisions that say because you've now been charged with this crime, you have no Second Amendment rights. You lose your right to possess a gun. In Minnesota under their regular routine conditions of bail in Minnesota. That strikes me as violating the Second Amendment. And we've discussed this before. Remember the Oklahoma case, other cases. There is no constitutional history, and that's the standard under Bruin, of criminally punishing someone merely for possession of a gun, merely because they've also been charged with possession of some illegal substance. It's only been illegal use of a gun at the time you possess or are under the influence of illegal substances or under the influence beyond the range of what's legal, such as alcohol, and usually in a public place. And so I think that the criminal charge of the gun charge against Rekieta patently violates the Second Amendment rights. I think the bail condition violates the Second Amendment rights.
Well, the gun charge is a gross misdemeanor, so 364 days maximum sentence. The big one is the possession of a controlled substance.
They use it as an enhancement for sentencing purposes on the drug charge. So there's a dual level influence of that particular aspect. And there's no allegation of any illegal use of a gun. No allegation that he used the gun in a public place. No allegation that he used the gun while
No,
under the influence.
The report mentioned a spent shell, which was near the Glock, which I don't. It sounds scary. Was he discharging the weapon, the firearm in the house? The bail, Robert. We had the same two questions, I think, as well. And if I made a mistake, I'll correct myself on Twitter. They were saying 50,000. What was it? Unconditional. It was a UR. It was an acronym they used, and it sounded like it was $50,000 bond or all of these conditions. When in reality, what was agreed to was 50,000 and a bunch of conditions. Correct?
No, it's or. So Minnesota's unique. Most states, that's always an and. In Minnesota, I can tell you why they're doing this. They're doing this to evade constitutional challenges. Though they don't evade it in the process, because you can't impose a monetary fine on the assertion of your constitutional rights or remedies. That would be a form of unreasonable bail under the 8th Amendment, just as it would be an excessive fine if it were a fine as some form.
Which is something Rekieta brought up during his arraignment. He said unduly burdensome and pertinent to the 8th Amendment.
Of civil or criminal punishment under the 8th Amendment. What they're doing is they're setting themselves up to make it easy. Say you didn't have to apply any of these conditions as long as you posted bail. They give the two options. Either you post bail and then you have no conditions on you, none, or you agree to the conditions and then you're out on your personal recognizance and you don't have to issue. And the theory is that.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. I think a lot of people were listening to this and was very confused by this. Bond, all that Rekieta needs is to have 10 grand and, provide 5 for him, 5 for his wife. I don't know what he ended up choosing. I can't remember, so I don't know what he ended up choosing. But yeah,
that either one will.
But again, this makes more sense.
Secure your appearance later. How does taking away somebody's Second Amendment rights secure their appearance?
Well, but then, why wouldn't the options? I thought they were alternative, and then I thought they were cumulative when they were agreed to. It was 50,000 bond, which he would have only had to post 10% and get the rest by a bonding company, or these conditions, or these.
Depends on the jurisdiction. There's some places that are pure cash bail, where you have to post the whole amount. I think in Minnesota you can get a bond agency to post.
Okay, so he agreed to the conditions, which include travel restrictions, drug testing,
but also loss of gun rights.
My own question was, independently, what happens if someone's out on bail and then there's a random drug check or alcohol test check in there?
They try to do it. That raises separate Fourth Amendment issues. Always has. Drug testing while on bail, to me, is also unconstitutional. It's arisen in the probation context, even. The Ninth Circuit called it an unconstitutional condition. So in my view, that's, again, and what they're trying to do is use scandalous or sensational facts to slowly strip us of all of our liberties and rights. They're trying to use bail as a control mechanism. And so that's its own independent problem. The same with controlled substances. For those folks out there that might be like, well, I really hate particular substances, don't think person should ever use them. Okay, just remember right now the state of Pennsylvania has already said that having Amos Miller's raw milk in your refrigerator is the exact same as having any illegal drug in your possession. Now imagine if they could use, you have Amos Miller's raw milk in your fridge as grounds to strip you of all your Second Amendment rights. And then we get to the next charge, the child endangerment charge. I assume there was some connection. There's none. They're simply saying if you possess an illegal substance, we're going to call that endangerment of a child. And it's like, that strikes me as a Fifth Amendment violation. Because under the Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, the most fundamental of all fundamental rights under the Due Process Clause, as the Supreme Court itself has acknowledged many times, is the right of a parent for control, custody, and care of their children, for them to make those decisions. That can only be invaded if you showed harm to the child. There is no allegation at all that he has caused any harm to his children ever.
And now, so let me.
That's according to the government. I'm just going with the government's own probable cause declaration.
Well, no, and that's what I was going to say. Is like there's a lot. Well, say the quartering, for example, says Nick has been blackout drunk, and then 4 hours later talks about driving his kids around. You're not sober within 4 hours, whatever. A lot of other people have seen what I'll call the public meltdown, which I think is related to alcohol abuse at the very least, and infuse that or combine that. Whereas from the state's perspective, that it's not like they even referenced the streams.
Exactly. If that was the basis, it would have been in that. See, I thought they had some independent basis for this. They had none. All they did is some. And this will get to the Fourth Amendment issue now. I thought there was something more here. Not okay. You found something in a dude's bathroom, and that's it. All of a sudden, you're going to take that as a ground for a search warrant. You're going to take that as a ground to take away Second Amendment rights. You're going to take that as grounds to take away care, custody, and control of children. You're going to use that to let child endangerment. When the child, I read the statute requires the child be in the presence. They're interpreting that so broadly that they can basically take away anybody's child if any substance you're using they don't like. And remember, the state of Pennsylvania includes Amos Miller's raw milk in that. That's how nuts some of this is. It violates constitutional rights, and they're using the scandal and sensational facts, and people like the quartering misunderstanding the facts to try to get away with a severe deprivation of constitutional liberty.
Well, no, I think a lot of people are joining what they know personally and what they've witnessed over the last little while with the law. So they're saying, okay, well, I know all this stuff.
That's where they're like, no one has witnessed anything bad, but I assume they have these facts. They don't. Anything negative towards the children at all. Other than they thought the house was messy. And I was like, hold on a second. That's not grounds.
Well, no, I
alleged child endangerment. I mean, I commit it every other day if that's the case.
And like that, the document says, dirty dishes and the house is sort of in disarray. I'm like, crap, if someone comes through this at my house and says there's dog poo and streaks of dog, they won't know it's dog blood, but like one of our paralyzed dogs, she sometimes bleeds and drags her feet around. And I mean, that much, I'm very skeptical of. I think what a lot of people are doing is merging what they have seen personally and publicly of Nick with these charges.
Yeah, this is why I've been like, kind of like, I railed against Nick when it first came out. because he was doing cocaine and shit. Okay, and that turned out to be true. He was doing cocaine. I was kind of skeptical against the neglect, if I remember correctly. And I think I just I guess there was rumors and stuff. But I personally, if you're doing cocaine and drugs and shit with your kids, in the house at all, I don't think that should be a legal charge of neglect. But I think you're a shitbag, regardless. Even if your kids are sleeping, I think you're a shitbag for doing drugs and stuff like that. It's just my personal belief. Um, I don't know. I don't know if that should be a legal grounds for anything. I just know that I don't like it personally. And I'm not a lawyer, so I don't really know about any of this stuff. But I was kind of agreeing. It does seem a little bit of a stretch for a lot of these charges. So I mean, even when I was reading, I was like, this seems kind of odd. Like the stretch. I don't think I said that on stream. Maybe I did. I don't remember. Well, the last couple, like the week or so, it was striking me as odd that that was the story so far. But again, we got the search warrant, so we'll check that out here real soon. Mind you, this particular stream came out before the search warrant came out.
In the live chat, where people saying, "Well, I know this in general about people who have problems with alcohol or drugs or gambling or other abuse, addiction-related issues causing issues with children." Yeah, but we don't presume things like that. We don't assume that everybody that has an issue that you have to prove it.
Yeah, no, I agree with Barnes here. You got to kind of prove it. You can't just well, we know that this is how people normally act. Yeah, but you have to actually witness it if you're going to put a legal charge on it. I totally agree with that.
With actual facts. And that's the problem here.
Well,
now we get to the Fourth Amendment problem next.
Oh, before you get to the Fourth Amendment, let me just throw this in because people say, look, a pastor was so concerned, he said a wellness check on the kids, and there has to be a good reason for that. Who the hell knows what information the pastor had? We are living in a world where I'm not trying to be overcynical.
I thought that was more detail. I mean, that's what I thought. Okay, this is a detention warrant. This is saying this is the ground for all of this. And I thought, okay, there's going to be a lot of details about the pastor said that really precipitated serious concern, and that it's not there. I mean, I was stunned it wasn't there. I was like, wow. They saw this as an opportunity to go after one of probably their biggest critic, given how small a county they are. Their biggest critic. They're like, this is a chance to shut him up and punish him for yipping about us for years. That's what I see. Because that pastor's complaint was more like, hey, I got a basic concern. It was not, here, this specific. Nothing like that was there.
And people can say, I see some of the chat, you're defending them. Even, first of all,
I could care less about those people. So I care about constitutional liberty. I want Nick to do well. I want him to get good counsel, all those things on a personal basis. But we're not the shrink show, nor are we the moral judgment show. We're the law for the people show. And we care about constitutional rights and liberties. And guess what, folks? You dig into a lot of constitutional rights. Miranda wasn't the sweetest human being on the planet. So, I mean, you get people that some of our core constitutional rights when they want to eviscerate our rights, they're not going to go after popular people. They're not going to go after people who have the most perfect life history. For those that don't remember, Rush Limbaugh had his own addiction problems. Half of America will either have a personal close relationship with someone or themselves have an addiction problem at some point in their lifetime. That's so these people that get real judgmental, it's like, hold on a second, this is pretty darn common. Mark Robert does great work in terms of helping people. You can go to America's Untold Stories. He covers that. You can read his book about Rehab Nation.
This is what this is why I respect Barnes is right now he's just doing the legal analysis. He's not talking about his personal friendship with Nick. He's not acting on Nick's friendship or anything like that. He's just doing the legal analysis because everyone fucking wants it. And the person that a lot of people would normally go to is Rekieta. And he can't talk about it because this is his legal it's his own case. So he can't really talk about shit because that could get him into some trouble. Although ironically, considering the fact that Nick is always rallying and telling celebrities and stuff or media people you should rally your audience behind you, blah blah blah. He's not quite doing that, but maybe that was in the context of a civil case and not a criminal case. Maybe I don't know.
Mm-hmm. There's good stuff there, but on the law side, they're trying to eviscerate his constitutional rights. And I see all the law tube that not talking about this. And it's like, to me, once I dug in, I was shocked at what I was seeing.
Well, especially in the context of that umbrella guy's covering it. I mean, he's also concerned for what Nick he considers to be a friend. But they called CPS on that umbrella guy as well. Anonymous calls. Yeah. Who knows what information the pastor is acting on? Well, they've got 5 kids.
That's the Fourth Amendment issue. So I thought, okay, so first of all, and for people out there, when people get swatted, that's usually a Fourth Amendment violation by the government. The government can't rely on anonymous information, third-party information, hearsay information as their sole basis to go and take a ram and bang down your door in your house. Right? That's not what is.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of extreme too.
is allowed under the Fourth Amendment. You have to have probable cause of a crime, and under internal public policy, it's discouraged. We'll get to this when we talk about Trump and Mar-a-Lago. You got to be discreet when you're executing search warrants. Okay, search warrants should be for exceptional cases, right? That's drug dealer cases. How many times have you heard of a search warrant being executed on a first-time alleged a drug user? I mean, this is very rare. I'd be curious how often they've done it in that small county. So again, going to the First Amendment issues, but what was their basis for probable cause? So the pastor doesn't have any firsthand information, doesn't report any firsthand information. Okay, so now you've got and he's reporting it from somebody else. So he's like, you got third-hand information. If the information may be privileged in the way in which he got access to it, which raises its own separate set of questions. He apparently had no detail. I mean, it's of any actual neglect or abuse. He didn't say, okay, that the child is having this problem or this problem. None of that. It's, hey, I think that there may be an issue with substance abuse of the parent. I'm concerned with how that impacts the kids. He's clearly asking for a wellness check. He's not asking to raid the house in front of the kids with a bunch of armed police officers, ramming the door down. And so I think there's serious Fourth Amendment issues present here because I'm very curious how they got to probable cause because by golly, it ain't in that detention warrant. And then we still have another one because they're busy violating every constitutional liberty they can figure out there in that small Minnesota county. We have the Sixth Amendment issues. They apparently were on notice at some point early on that he was the counsel for his wife and for the third person that was arrested there. It's one thing is why are they arresting everybody? It's like they arrested everybody in the house. I mean, if they do some sort of raid at some place, a party or possession, you're not supposed to arrest everybody, but they arrest every adult. So the kids get forced out of the house. That raises its own question. Clearly, they didn't have much evidence on the third person because then they dismissed the charges 2 days later.
Her name is April Imholt. They dismissed her charges?
Mm-hmm. Oh, dismissed.
Yeah, that's there's been speculation on that maybe there's been some cooperation.
Some people might be hypothesizing that means she's cooperating with the states.
There's always a possibility that's why they arrested her. But here's the issue. Did they talk to her? If they knew Rekieta was her lawyer, did they talk to her without notice to Rekieta? Because that's what Rekieta reported. He said he had been foreclosed from talking to either his wife, who he was representing, or her, who he was representing.
Now, let me stop you there.
He put him on immediate notice. He says he put them on immediate notice that he was representing them. So that's Sixth Amendment right to counsel issues. There's also Miranda issues because they'll said they would have Mirandized everybody. But it's like, did they arrest her solely to scare and terrify her into telling whatever story they wanted her to tell outside the presence of counsel? So they didn't have probable cause for the arrest, didn't have probable cause for her detention, and then invaded her Sixth Amendment rights in order to secure whatever favorable testimony they possibly could as payback to Rekieta being a high-profile public critic.
Let me ask you the question before I'm going to read some of these chats because they have some decent questions in there as well. It's one thing to say I want to represent someone and I'm being denied counsel. Can a co-defendant who's an attorney represent another co-defendant?
Oh, yes, and I'll give you an example because the government's done this nonsense to me. So one of the games the government likes to play, they did it to Gotti when they finally got him, is that they try to find a way to separate out the client from the lawyer. And now I was very public saying, if you're in a situation like Nick's, get independent counsel right away. It's the first call you make. You make sure they're all lined up. You make sure the cops all know. You make sure everybody all knows. That's just tactical advice. Putting that aside, that still doesn't change the constitutional analysis. So absolutely, he can represent them, and they can challenge it at a later point about whether there's a conflict, an unwaivable interest. Yeah. But the government has done this in multiple contexts in my cases. They try to always separate out the defendants. Usually, the defendants are best served with joint defenses, often joint representation. But because they know that the best way they get people to point fingers at each other, both of them usually go down. That's how that tends to work, particularly in husband and wife situations. But the other aspect is they also, if the lawyer's real effective, they go after the lawyer. So years ago, I had a case in which my client sort of stumbled into a massive Obama scandal. And the scandal was that the Obama administration was using the IRS to enforce Obamacare. And it was the pretext by which the Obama IRS who already had everybody's most private information through the financial records they confess each year on their tax returns and their other mass gathering of it. It's part of why they want the PayPal information and all the rest. It's to put you into the surveillance grid. It's not about making sure they accurately collect tax. But what they did in this context is they were stealing everybody's medical records. They were going around to medical care providers and record keepers especially, and forcing them to turn over all their medical records. This was information they gave them. I called it J. Edgar Hoover's wet dream of a blackmail file. And they had stolen the medical records of every judge in the state of California, and I'm sure they were doing it across the country, of every Major League Baseball player, of every screenwriter, of every movie director, of every movie actor, of every movie producer. They were stealing all of it. And basically they had blackmailed some of the most powerful people in the world, either in terms of social influence or political influence or legal or economic influence. Because they knew who had been in for sex addiction rehab treatment, for example, right? That kind of thing. And he stumbled into it and started to report it, and the IRS decided to put him under microscopic inquiry for criminal tax cases and tried to lock him up for life. And he hired me, and I was the hit. I exposed what they had done on the medical records, started exposing their other misconduct. The prosecutor involved was very politically connected. He was the guy that was picked by the Obama administration to handle fast and furious charges in another jurisdiction. That's how politically ambitious this guy was. But the IRS got very agitated, and his office got very agitated. dictated that I was having a lot of success. And so they decided to manufacture a case where they were going to accuse me and my client of being in a conspiracy to assassinate the prosecutor on one of the most ludicrous, asinine, absurd charges ever. But their whole goal was to separate me from the lawyer. Say, oh, now you can't represent him anymore, Barnes, because now we got an accusation against you two. And if you don't play ball, Barnes, would be nice. Maybe this has a death penalty statute that this carries with it. And my attitude was, F you. That I'm going to protect my client's constitutional rights and my own. And let's see how this all works out at the end. In the end, by the way, he didn't serve a single day in federal prison, didn't pay a single fine. But he did recognize that you need to get out of the United States, and he's not come back since. And this was a guy who was a deep-hearted American when the whole case started. So this is an old game. They did it to Gotti. They got Gotti talking to his lawyer on tape in a way that they could interpret in a certain way. They got a judge to say Gotti could no longer use the lawyer and successfully got him acquitted repeatedly. So this is an old scam of the government. And it's never an excuse, and they know that. So that's where I think all the law tubers out there, I understand people's personal concern for Nick. Everybody wants Nick to do well. Nick has been a stand-up guy for a long time. He's helped a lot of people. By everything I've ever seen, he's a stand-up family man. He's a guy that stood up for Kyle Rittenhouse, was his lead advocate in the court of public opinion, and I'm glad he exposed corruption when he saw it in his local jurisdiction. Everybody wants him to do well. But what law tubes should start to focus on, in my view, is what the heck's going on in that county. This looks like serious, significant constitutional violations as punitive retaliation against someone they don't like. And we should all be concerned about that because that can happen to any of us who call out corruption or fraud in our government.
I'm going to read through as many of the super chats that relate to Ricada before we move on to the other subject. Could probable cause have come from seeing Nick with apparent powder on his nose on a live stream? I haven't seen that. I've seen people
commenting on that.
In
there. See, that's what I was like. Maybe they drew some connection. Maybe they could use some evidence. Nothing. None of that is in the probable cause affidavit for detention.
Yeah, unless it's in the probable cause.
Why wouldn't that be in there? If that was the basis, the guy included whether the dishes were dirty, right? I mean, you would expect that. That fact would be in there if it existed.
Mm-hmm. Recordings just got better. Hey, it's Dana from StreamYard. I'm so excited to announce.
God damn it.
Even if it's cleared up, there will be no understanding to stop swatting Nick. His address was given out during the hearing. He looks unwell, though. There was no Glock in Nick's police.
Yeah, Nick's going to have to move now because now he's going to get a bunch of swatting shit.
Support the gun was.
Which actually, if Nick gets through this, kind of might be a blessing in disguise because then he has an excuse to move out of Minnesota, and he's been wanting to for a while.
Under the bed, an unloaded Sig Sauer AR. The spent shell was a 22 caliber. No 22 caliber was listed in the police report. So the whole base.
There are people who often carry different things in bullet and unused shells.
And Pasha says, if the charges are true, the children get the short end of the stick. If the charges are false, the children get the short end of the stick. I think even if the charges are false, we've witnessed a behavior that should
but the government's capable of. I think there's serious problems. For example, that judge should have disqualified herself right away. Who signed that search warrant? Why isn't their discretion being exercised by these judges and being careful? I think that what we're seeing, and maybe it's a good transition, we're seeing courts, whether it's the Amos Miller case and dealing with the state government there, whether it's the illegally imprisoned farmers dealing with the rogue Commonwealth Court judge, whether it's the judges trying to lock somebody up because somebody recorded a proceeding and documented judicial corruption there in the Pennsylvania court, or rights of Trump. What we're seeing is, or in the case.
Sorry, go for, before we get to Trump.
There's a common theme in all of this, which is out of control judges.
We're going to get to the out of control judges in the Rumble side of things in vivabarneslaw.locals.com. People should believe Robert. The police, in my experience, never help addicts. They only want to jail them. Nick should choose the no condition bail. The subsequent testing is a setup, says NY Rennal MD. Nick should have chosen the no condition. Okay, we got that one. And then I'll just get a few left over here in the Rumble to see if we've missed any questions before we give the menu of the evening and move on over to Rumble because we've been here for a while. Anton's Biltong is delicious. So we got King of Biltong. Good evening from Anton's Meat and Eat. Free.
Okay. So there we go. That's the analysis. It makes a lot of sense. So let's go and check out the search warrant. And it doesn't look like I have been briefly just looking at the comments, and it doesn't look like the there might not have been any probable cause on this. All right, hold on. All right, I am having trouble fucking reading this thing. Hopefully you guys can see it on your end. All right, so let's see. It says... Hold on. All right, hold on. Before I get into that, let me just download it so I can actually read the damn thing better. I can't read it for shit. Or can I not? I don't think I can. Fucking hell. Okay, let me see if I can Google it real quick. Doesn't look like I can look it up fairly easy. Fucking hell. Okay, I don't need. Hold on. I'm just trying to see if I can pull up the damn search warrant because I can't read it very well. Of course. All right. All right, I'll try to read this as best as fucking possible. Oh, you know what? Maybe if I just... No, that didn't work at all. All right. Let's try it. It's kind of irritating, but we'll see. All right. Okay, that's a little better. All right, so it says, I, Quinn Paul Poplin, a licensed peace officer in the state of Minnesota, make an application to court for a warrant to search the premises and the persons described below for the property and the things described below. I know the content of this application and affirm the statement contained in this application are true based on my own knowledge and are believed to be true. I believe that the following described property and things, namely controlled substances, including methamphetamines, cocaine, or any other controlled substance prohibited by law, and paraphernalia commonly associated with the sales/use of controlled substance, items that would show controlled substance use that would not qualify as legal drug paraphernalia, is or are on the premises and on the persons described as blank. The resident has a tar driveway leading east from... I'm not going to read this. Nicholas Robert Ricada, date of birth, located in the city or township of New London, county of Canandaigua, state of Minnesota. I apply for a search warrant on the following grounds. The possession of the property or things above described can constitute a crime. The property or the things above described constitute evidence which tends to show a crime has been committed or tends to show that a particular person has committed a crime. The facts establish the grounds for issuance of a search warrant are as follow. Your affidavit is Detective Quinn Poplin, a licensed Canandaigua County Sheriff's Office since 2013. Since 2018, your affiant has been assigned as Detective Division on full-time basis, focused on felony level crimes, including not limited to criminal sexual conduct, homicide, death, blah 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 blah. Okay, all that stuff there is just like, this is who I am. It's the I love me. It's the I love me thing. That's all that is. It's I love me. Come hear about me. That's all that is. So that's why I'm kind of like going through this. Okay. All right. So on May 16th, 2024, Canandaigua County Sheriff's Office Sergeant Dave Nestor received a report regarding possible child neglect and controlled substance use. The reporter indicated that Nicholas Robert Requeta resides at Spicer, Minnesota in Canandaigua County, resides in a residence with his wife Kayla Kristen Requeta and 5 children, ages 6 to 16. The report includes that 4 people from their church had gone to him reporting neglect to the children, possible controlled substance use, and questionable relationship with an additional couple. Okay. Oh, okay. Whatever. Not sure that's illegal. It was reported that Nicholas is a social blogger, and his wife Kayla had befriended hosts from a different local social media blog. Those individuals were identified as Aaron Michael Imoet and April Diane Imoet. You're affiant, whatever the fucking word is. Knows personally, these are personalities from the Steel Toe Morning Show, which used to be in St. Cloud, Minnesota radio. However, as of the recent years, the show has been a social media entertainment show, strictly online basis. It was reported that the Imoet may have been staying with Requeta, and the home was in disarray and cluttered. It was reported from a church preschool teacher that the children had complained about being hungry, not being fed, and wearing the same clothes for 3 to 4 days at a time, and would start to smell. Nicholas was reported as being lethargic and appeared high or drugged driving a car around. I don't really think that's good enough probable cause, because that's all third party. That's like hearsay. Another individual advised that the reported that Nicholas will walk out randomly during sermons at church and have noticed behavior changes in him. It was alleged Kayla looked anorexic, and Nicholas had lost a substantial amount of weight recently. Once one individual described Nicholas of having injection or track marks on his arms. The reporter reiterated concerns of possible neglect and / or substance use within the home. Started to review the Requetas and Imholtz social media blogs. The blogs are commonly related to legal issues and high-profile trials, and Nicholas is a licensed attorney. Nicholas is known to drink alcoholic beverages excessively on these video blogs. I immediately noted that Nicholas's appearance in recent months had changed in videos from 2024 compared to January 2024 compared to May 2024. Nicholas appeared to have lost weight, appeared tired, and overall appeared strung out. Common that controlled substance users Nicholas commonly referred to his studio as his basement in his residence. Nicholas has been the victim of SWAT phone calls and is known to your affiant and the Canandaigua Sheriff's Office because of these calls. When the Canandaigua County Sheriff's Office responded to these calls, they were at blank. While reviewing Imholtz social media video blogs, Aaron recently indicated that he and April are getting a divorce. Aaron goes on to say that he has experimented with cocaine 3 times and Molly 6 or 7 times in the past. On 12/19/2023, the Imholtz broadcast a podcast from Nick Requeta's studio, with the podcast being named Live from Spicer's since 12/19/23. Throughout Imholtz's video blog, it's apparent that they and the Ricadas were friends and may have recently had a falling out. It should be noted in the recent videos that of the Imholtz, April has a time also appeared tired, lethargic, and strung out as well. In both Nicholas and Imholtz video blogs from Arcada's studios, it's apparent that they are in the same room, and the items in the backgrounds appear at the same time. At one point during the Imholtz video, Nicholas walks in and grabs an item, which would show that the background is not a backdrop, and is actual layout of the room. Okay. On 5/22/2024, Imholt did a video blog where he talked about Nicholas and insinuated controlled substance use. Also referenced a video blog the Nicholas put online on 5/21/24 that had been taken off the internet. Imholtz indicated in this blog that Nicholas needs help. He needs to get help for his kids because of his substance abuse. Imholt points out a time in the video where Nicholas has a white powdery substance on his nose. On 5/22/2024, he was able to reveal the video that had been taken off Nicholas' YouTube and Rumble social media sites. Is it off his Rumble? Just seeing, is it really off his Rumble? Huh, I guess it is. Where is it? Just seeing this is off his Rumble. No, that is definitely not it. Oh, I guess it is off his Rumble. Huh. Interesting. Interesting. Cool. The video is from 5/21/2024 and is of Nicholas in his basement studio talking about a court appeals ruling he lost. He appears in the video to be drinking alcohol and eventually appears under the influence of a substance. The entire video blog is 4 hours and 4 minutes long. Approximately 2:46 into the video, Nicholas leaves to go to the restroom. When he returns at 2:40, he appears to be making an excited look and have white powdery substance on his nose. Believes this behavior indicative of central nervous system stimulus. Believed based on training that Nicholas, as well as the behavior of Nicholas, that he ingested this white powdery substance through his nasal cavity off screen. Your knows this through training, blah, blah, blah. Noted that throughout the video, Nicholas is under influence of substance to the point he has to close one eye to read the screen and rambles and slurs his speech. Nicholas would obviously not be able to care for his children in a state of intoxication. It should be noted that as a valor several years based on okay. So that was, I guess, the probable cause for the search warrant. I don't think that's actually, I think based on what Barnes is talking about, it's not really enough for a search warrant, honestly. Actually, Barnes, that's what Barnes exactly says. So let's go over to Barnes' Twitter. So this is just from an hour ago. The Ricada search warrant is a joke. Basically, a local cop only investigation was to watch social media, listen to gossip, and medically diagnose Ricada from an isolated video to get a search warrant. This is not a probable Fourth Amendment probable cause. Details from hashtag Ricada law. Ricada's case gets worse from a constitutional perspective. Basically, 4 churchgoers who were mad at Ricada for walking out of sermons got the pastor Ricada made fun of to make a complaint of child neglect and possible drug use. That's not a Fourth Amendment complaint probable cause. So, yeah, I mean, that's what it appears to me is it didn't look like any of that was really probable cause. It was more like gossip. Them gossipy bitches. Yeah, it's fairly weird. Now, obviously, like, look, let's be honest though. Okay, hold on. There's something else from Robert Barnes right here. I see some folks saying any report of child neglect is probable cause to raid your house. In New York City, they studied how often reports of child neglect turned out to be true. Turns out 96% of complaints were false. This is why that never sufficed for Fourth Amendment probable cause. Yeah, I had assumed when I heard a raid that had some like something sufficient. It doesn't look like to me. Like, yeah, when this first broke, I assumed. Sorry. Oh yeah, when this was first done, and I saw raid, I assumed they had something substantial. And all this really looks like is he did some stuff I didn't like, and therefore, you know, Mercado law bad. That's all it really seems to me. Okay, this seems a little pertinent. So we're gonna check this out real quick.
After this, and I'm not gonna dox the DMs, but I'm gonna tell you something that I know right now for a fact because I'm actually just looking at it right now. Nick is flipping out right now in private, and he is. I'm watching some DMs right now. He's going fucking nuts. Nick is going nuts, and I would expect that Nick may make some statements which you probably shouldn't make, and they go live. But he is. I'm watching him right now live as we're speaking. I'm poking my eye over. He's going fucking crazy. This after this, and I'm not gonna.
Now let's see. When was this made? I think this was just. Yeah, it was 21 minutes ago. So I think I saw Legal Mindset was going live at some point soon. So this may be recent. It may be due to the fact that sorry. But it's probably I don't know. Maybe the reason for his freaking out is, hey, look, here's all this shit. I've been telling you guys didn't know anything, couldn't talk about it, and all that, and now you guys were roasting me, blah blah blah. There we go. And now he's kind of like, hey, you dumb fucks. It's so that might be why. I don't know why he's freaking out. And what's it says? Legal Mindset's like, hey, you might say some shit you might not want, because they may try and request those records, but we'll see if that even gets to that point, because it doesn't really seem like they had a reason to they didn't seem to have a reason to really actually raid the house. They had a reason to maybe do a wellness check and give a look-see and everything. So what the fuck I was saying? I got distracted. But yeah, so there we go. That's the update. So yeah, Nick might be saying some shit he doesn't want to say. And so it is what it is. What can you do? Oof. Now, oh yeah, so Nick might be like, freaking out, like, see, I told you, you fuckers, you guys didn't, you guys just made some assumptions and blah blah blah. Turns out it's not that at all. Blah blah. Fuck you, assholes. Okay, might be that. All right, now we're gonna get some local posts. All right, so this happened. Shit, I think this happened shortly. Yeah, this happened the day he got out. It says, I really wanted to go live tonight. I planned on doing locals tonight. I really want to do the first stream aftermath gate bullshit, but I'm not really not feeling it. I'm sorry. I'll do something tomorrow. Right now, I'm just drained and tired. Yeah, I hear weaning off cocaine is kind of draining. Again, a million people have a whole slew of opinions about me and everything. That's fine. They've earned it. They don't know the story. They can't, but they get their public opinion, and I deserve my public lashing. You kind of do, Nick. You kind of do. I ask people to focus on me and my failures and leave other people allegedly involved out of it. When it's grifting time, I'll tell you shitty jail stories or the good parts about having your house searched. I want to be jovial and optimistic for those things because they can be funny and depraving tonight. I don't feel jovial. Peace, y'all. FYI, Nick never did actually did a stream. He has yet to do a stream. Since then, again, I don't blame him. I don't think he should be. I think he's got some more important things to be focused on at the moment. I would like to say I've been fairly fair with all this. I've been kind of criticizing just Nick off of his own shit and him, putting his kids in this type of predicament. I blame Nick fully. I think that's where my anger was generally lived at. I'd like to say I was fair during the whole, the beginning parts of the legal stuff. I can't remember for the life of me. I'm not going to go back to confirm what I was thinking on my old videos. So if it turns out I wasn't fair, then I wasn't fair, and it is what it is. It's not like I was ever going to go on Arcada's show anyways. I'll be small forever. So hey, obviously a lot has happened. This is another locals post the day after. Hey, so hey, obviously a lot has happened. I'm sorry. For legal purposes, it must be reiterated that I'm not sorry reiterate that the sorry is for the disruption and is no way related to any pending legal matters. That said, please realize that no one has the full story or picture on anything. It's possible no one ever will. Nothing reported is accurate, and that's not their fault. I've seen so many supportive messages. Thank you for that. I'm not very supportive. I am, but I'm not sending him messages. I'll still be doing stuff. I'm home now. Stay tuned for shows, announcements, and stuff here on local. Nick. I think that was the day after. I have been supportive in wanting him to get help. I've not been supportive of this whole matter because you fucking idiot. You're doing this to your kids. It's your fault. Let's see. So, hey, old chat is old. Here's a new one because I probably buried the old one. Lady R and I are doing okay at the moment. Thanks for the well wishes. There's a lot to be said and a lot being said that should be addressed at some point. Let me say this. The stories are always more complex than they sound. Life is always more complex than it looks. Online chatter must, however, take a backseat to my current legal matters. Thank you all for believing in me or at least supporting while you watch this unfold. I will be doing a stream soon, but it probably won't be today. I think I have a different one of these that does the show full of it. I'm curious what Nick is saying in that chat, though. That'd be interesting. Okay, doesn't look like I have it. Oh well, life goes on. So yeah, there we go. So that's the end. I really don't think I got much else to this. That search warrant does look like a lot of BS. And again, all this is the reason it's BS. Is that not that let's say that all this is true. Everything that's being said is true. Let's say all this is half true. It doesn't. Nick is kind of a garbage father and husband at this point. He brought his family to this. I've like I said, I'm really hoping I've just been solely laying my focus on Nick because I believe he's the most at fault. But we have to be honest on the other hand and look at the case that they've used against him. And the search warrant was basically people weren't happy with him. And the cop just did an investigation. Like he diagnosed Nick of doing this shit on his own. That's what it really did. There's claims that the kids were malnourished, wearing the same clothes for days, and reports of erratic acting, including leaving the church. All that's hearsay. I don't think, and according to Robert Barnes, that's not a legal basis for a search warrant, let alone a raid. I always thought the raid was extreme. I just figured they really had to have known. They really had to have known something, but it didn't look like they know everything. But also, I just want to know, I kind of want to know how they know, because if I remember the reports beforehand, let's see if I can find out the initial report or whatever. They seem to immediately have gone to the. They seem to immediately went to the bedroom. So you kind of have to ask yourself, how do they know go straight to the bedroom? Yeah, I think there's a news report. Here we go. Yeah. So at least in the news report, it seemed like they immediately went to the bedroom. So it begs the question: how do they know to go straight to the bedroom and look at that? So it's a little interesting in that respect. We don't know why they knew to go to the bedroom and check the bedroom out immediately, because they seem to know exactly where they're going. I would think that was in the search warrant. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know any of this stuff. I also never had a search warrant conducted on me, so I really have no idea. But I don't know. That just strikes me as odd. But there we go. Robert Barnes has yet to update since then. He is railing against other law tubers, which is kind of funny. We'll see how this ends up with the law tube community, because everything like that. So I don't know, but we'll see. Who knows? So that's the end. That's all I got for you guys today. The mornings kind of turned out shitty, so kind of cutting it early. Not really early, but everything was just pushed the fuck back. I'm just irritated because I hate when all this shit's kind of fucking with my flow. We'll give a shout out to Dick Masterson, who's really been on Nick's side this entire time. And it's kind of funny because he first initially was making fun of Nick, which of course he should do. Everyone should be making fun of Nick for this. You fucking idiot. And I know there's been a lot of talk from Aaron Immelt of the Steel Toe and all that stuff, but I mean, why should I believe him? I've been really just staying away from the rumor and just trying to stick with the facts as much as I can. It's what I've been really trying to do. So I haven't really been reporting on the drama. But yeah, I think some of Dick's points are kind of bad. But I can understand his perspective. So yeah. Anyways, let's end the show. I've gotten distracted too much. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you like and subscribe. We'll continue to follow this case with bated breath. Remember, it's let's see, August 28th, which is a Wednesday at 1:45, if I remember correctly, is Nick's court date. Let's see if I got that. Okay, it looks like I deleted that. Pretty sure it's August 28th is his court date. Yeah, so I hope you have a good day. Peace out, and I will see you later. Peace out.